Hey book nerds, welcome to my channel. So today I'm doing a Snakes and Ladders TBR video. It has been a while since I filmed one of those, or anything really. I gave myself November off on purpose because I had a lot of goals for the year and I wanted to try and get through those books. I did actually film one for December, but I never uploaded it. I might do it into like a kind of wrap-up type thing, but my schedule's still going to be really sporadic. But I wanted to do this video because it's the start of the year and I really enjoy doing these videos and I think people enjoy watching them. So I've changed up the board a little bit, nothing major, just my goals have obviously changed for the year. There may be videos coming on those shortly, but I'm not going to do a long spiel now, so I'm just going to get into the gameplay and start talking about what I'm going to read in the first month of 2021. Happy 2021. I hope it's going, I hope it's going well, it's literally the first day of 2021, but yeah, let's all say goodbye to 2020 and see what happens this year. Here we have the first throw of the year, and it's 2, 1, 2, starting off with a goal, and it is non-fiction. So the very first prompt of 2021 was a goals, and it was a non-fiction book, so I have selected The History of Sweets by Chrystal. I've got this as an ARC off NetGalley, and it's basically what it sounds like. It's just about the history of sweets. It's from Pen and Sword, is the publishing company, and they do lots of really cool non-fiction history books. I usually get approved for them and I feel really bad because I've not read a whole chunk of them because I have to be in a specific mood for non-fiction. But this one sounds great. It sounds like a nice, fun non-fiction read to start the year with, and I'm very excited to get to it. 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Challenges. It is oldest on TBR. The second prompt was the oldest book on my TBR. Now I've got loads and loads of books on my TBR from like pre-2015. My TBR it's got some old ones on it, so it's a little hard for me to determine exactly what is the oldest because I only started using Goodreads properly around 2016. But I've picked this one because it's like one of the first ones I got on my Kindle. And that is Every Ugly Word by Aimee L. Salter. So this is a kind of contemporary with some science fiction / fantasy elements, I guess. It's about a girl, she goes to school, she's very unhappy with her life, she's kind of bullied, but she has this mirror, and when she looks into the mirror, she can communicate with her future self. Now her future self is really happy, really accomplished, she's got great friends, but there is something tragic about to happen in her life, in her present day, that her future self won't tell her about, and it's about to happen, and then it's kind of about the ramifications of that. I just think this sounds like a really interesting story. I like the idea of being able to communicate with your future self in that way, and the idea of something tragic that your future self knows about but won't tell you about is really interesting to me, so I'm hoping it lives up after being on my TBR for so many years. 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is a title, and we have pretty in the title. So the next prompt was a word in the title, and the word was pretty. For this I have picked All the Pretty Things by Emily, I'm not quite sure how to say the surname, but I would say Arnault. Fun fact, I actually bought a different book thinking it was this book, and it wasn't, but I also own this book on Kindle, so it's all fine. But this is about it's like a fairground, and it's a young adult thriller, and this girl basically discovers this body of their classmate at a fairground, and then she immediately goes to a mental health institution, and then the main character is kind of friends with her, and she's investigating the death of this student, I believe. It's kind of vague on the details, but I love books set in kind of fairgrounds and that kind of atmosphere. I'm quite a fan of young adult thrillers, so there's a lot of elements there to entice me. However, it hasn't got great reviews, so we'll see. Sometimes I like young adult thrillers more than some people do, but hopefully this one won't let me down. A 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have a snake. So first we have another title. We have a number in the title. And then we go down the squiggly boy to a challenge, and we have Reread. We have our first double of the year. It's a snaky double, not a ladder double, which I'm trying not to take as a bad sign. But it has enabled me to pick two hopefully really great books, so that's not too bad. The first prompt was to pick a book with a number in the title. I've picked for one I wanted to read for a while, and that is The Basic 8 by Daniel Handler. If you don't know, Daniel Handler is Lemony Snicket, so the author of a series of unfortunate events. This is a really vague description, but it's basically about from what I gather, kind of a posh schoolgirl. And the blurb's written from her point of view, and she's basically saying that all of her classmates are calling her a murderer, and she's not a murderer, she's a murderess. Really vague description, but again, it's kind of got young adult thriller elements, and the blurb implies that it will have some of the humour that I really like from a series of unfortunate events, so I'll be going to that one pretty blind, but I've got reasonable hopes for it. The next prompt was Reread, and I really struggled with this because there wasn't really anything I wanted to immediately reread. So I have decided to reread Radio Silence by Alice Oseman. This is one of my favourite books of all time. I really, really love this book. I think it would have been 2 years ago now that I read it. It was either that or the start of last year. And I've read Loveless since, and I adored that as well. And I kind of want to reread Radio Silence to sort of determine which of the two is my favourite. I'll probably read this fairly soon, near the start of the year. I'm in the middle of a book at the moment. I'm reading The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. But when I finish that, I might just read Radio Silence, because then I know I'm starting off the year well with a favourite that I know I'll like. It's a 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. We have another goal. And this time we have Backlist Arc. So the next prompt was Backlist Arc, and this is one of my goals that I may or may not make a video on, depending on how life goes. And basically I've picked 20 arcs that are backlisted, or 20 arcs I really want to read for this year. This one doesn't actually technically count because I think it is being released this month, but I still really wanted to read it, so I just picked it anyway. But it's People Like Her by Ellory Lloyd. So this is a thriller about an Instagram influencer. I've discovered, there's a whole host of thrillers recently about kind of Instagram or social media people, and I've discovered I'm really into them. Which is good because it's very trendy at the moment. This one is kind of, the blurb split into like 3 categories, so I assume there may be 3 narrators, and it's kind of got like the influencer, and she's like living her perfect Instagram life. It's her husband, and he's getting tired of their life and also says that his wife is a liar. And then there's another person called the follower, who's presumably a stalker, who is getting ready to tear down this Instagrammer's life. And that's kind of just all the blurb says. Like I said, I've read a lot of books like this at the moment, and they've all been pretty good so far. So this does have a lot to live up to, but I'm also excited to read it, and I think I will really enjoy it. 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hitting that ladder. So first we have title again, and we have lie or liar in the title. We go up this ladder. We have a random prompt, and we have random author. Yay! And we end with a double ladder, which I'm going to take as a good sign. Not that doubles are great, really, for my TBR, but ladders are good. I like ladders. So the first book I've selected is Believe Me by JP Delaney. I'm sort of stretching the lie in the title, but this lie, you can't really tell with this cover, but the lie is in a different font on most of the covers, and you can kind of see it's a different red. So I'm going to count it because I really want to read this book. This is another thriller. This is about a woman who essentially works for a law firm, a divorce law firm, and her job is to entrap cheating husbands. She's not allowed to actively flirt with the husbands, but she has to go where they are, look pretty, and basically trick them into attempting to sleep with her for the divorce law firm. One day she does this, and the wife of the man she is entrapping is murdered, and so they then enlist her to try and get a confession out of the husband rather than like a cheating thing. I expect some twists and turns. It's by JP Delaney, who wrote The Perfect Wife, which I really, really loved. I was very impressed. That's one of my favourite thrillers of last year. So I do have high hopes for this. I'm also a little bit nervous because I think this will be like the second book by this author that I've read. But I think that sounds like a cool premise. It's interesting, a bit convoluted, maybe a little bit ridiculous, but I'm okay with ridiculous thrillers. So yeah, we'll see how that one goes. The next one was to generate a random author. So I did this I downloaded my Goodreads library, filtered it by only to read books, and then I used Excel to generate a random cell from the author list. I got Jane Robbins, which means I'm reading White Bodies. This is another thriller. It's a very thriller-filled January. And this is about two sisters, and one of them suspects that the husband of the other one is abusing her. So she joins a online support room kind of chat thing, forum thing, to talk about it. However, one of the people she meets through the support network has their abusive partner murdered, and then her sister's husband dies mysteriously, could be murder, and she starts to wonder, is a support group like hunting down the abusers kind of thing. I don't remember where I first heard about this book. I think it's been on my TBR for a while, and it's probably good that it came up this way because I don't know how else I would have actually got around to reading it. So I kind of have quite an open mind with this one. I don't really have many expectations. I'm just kind of along for the ride. But yeah, so that is my entire January TBR. Let me know what you're reading. Let me know, as always, if you've read any of these, if you think they sound good, or kind of like your thoughts about them if you didn't like them, that sort of thing. I will try and get more regular with my content, but I'm not going to make any promises. I've said this before, but if you follow me on Twitter, it's one of the best ways to get in contact with me and kind of keep track of what's going on in my life. I can't really post updates on my YouTube channel, so if you care, then you can follow me on Twitter. But yeah, I will do my best to keep a regular schedule. I hope you all have a wonderful January and a wonderful 2021, and I will see you soon.